2017, Ubisoft made the decision to take Assassin's Creed away from being a traditional action-adventure stealth franchise and push it towards a full RPG formula. And honestly, that decision split the fanbase in two. Old school fans miss the tight parkour, social stealth, hidden blade assassinations, and the feeling of actually being a part of a Brotherhood. But newer fans, or more casual fans, enjoyed the massive open worlds, loot systems, level gating, exploration, and the amount of content these games offered. For almost a decade, Ubisoft carried on down this path, starting with Origins, then Odyssey, Valhalla, and eventually Shadows. Now you could argue that Shadows is more of a stripped-back hybrid version of the RPG formula, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to count it as part of the RPG era. Personally, I've only played Origins and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think a lot of old school Assassin's Creed fans did as well, because Origins still felt connected to the foundations of Assassin's Creed and the Brotherhood. It had Bayek, it had Altaïr, it had the Hidden Ones. It felt like an actual origin story. But even with it, there are still mechanics from older games that fans constantly go back to, such as the parkour, the dense cities, the social stealth, and that feeling of playing as an assassin fantasy. Now, financially, the RPG era for Ubisoft was clearly a success. Valhalla became one of the biggest earners in the franchise, quoted at over $1 billion, and Odyssey also launched very strongly. So from a business perspective, I completely understand why Ubisoft went in that direction, but as someone who has played Assassin's Creed for the best part of 15 years, I do think Ubisoft should take a step back and ask one important question. Are these games successful because they are great Assassin's Creed games, or are they successful because they have the Assassin's Creed name on the box? Because at the end of the day, that name, it carries a lot of weight. It's like giving two identical t-shirts to somebody. One is plain and one has a Nike logo on it. Even if the material is the same, people are going to buy the Nike one because of the brand. And I think that's what's happened with Assassin's Creed. People see the words Assassin's Creed and they instantly pay attention. The brand itself sells the game before the gameplay even gets shown. But what if Ubisoft had done something different? What if, instead of forcing every historical open world game into the Assassin's Creed universe, they actually just created new IPs for some of these ideas? Not Origins. I think Origins absolutely belongs in Assassin's Creed, and maybe not Shadows either, because Japan has always been one of the most requested settings for the series. But Odyssey and Valhalla, that is where I think Ubisoft missed a massive opportunity. Odyssey could have been its own ancient Greece RPG, a full Spartan mercenary game, a brutal cinematic open world Greek epic with gladiator style combat, naval exploration, mythology themes, political betrayal and massive battles. It's almost as if this game had already been made by another developer. Which brings me on to Rise, Son of Rome. Back when the Xbox One and the PS4 launched, Xbox brought out a launch title named Rise, Son of Rome, and that was pretty much a Roman gladiator action-adventure game where you would be a Roman mercenary and you would go around and you would play in a alternate Roman fantasy. And if you search it up on YouTube and just watch it, you'll understand where I'm getting with Ubisoft could have made Odyssey its own IP with its own ancient Greece gladiator-style combat game. Didn't need to force it to be in Assassin's Creed. It doesn't even work from what I've seen. You don't have a hidden blade, there's no social stealth. Cassandra is like swearing all the time apparently, and they kind of just went completely off track with it. Now, with this IP, you could still have Spartan kicks, you could still have Greek islands, still have a mercenary system, the war between Athens and Sparta, all the mythology, but it could have stood on its own brand new Ubisoft franchise. It could have been another Far Cry, another Assassin's Creed, another Watch Dogs. They could have made another IP. They've done it once, they can do it again. And the same goes for Valhalla. How many massive open world Viking games do we actually have? I can't think of a single one. Ubisoft could have completely separated the Viking IP, set it across Norway and England, focused on the raids, clans, politics, settlement buildings, Norse mythology, and brutal combat. That's the game that could have been one of a kind. But instead, they had to carry the Assassin's Creed name, or barely feeling connected to the Assassin fantasy at times. And that's a problem. There's no need for Spartans, Vikings, mercenaries, and mythological warriors into a franchise that was originally built around stealth, parkour, hidden blades, secret orders, and the conflict between assassins and Templars. Give those historical fantasies their own spotlight. Let the Spartan game be a Spartan game, and let the Viking game be a Viking game. And let Assassin's Creed be Assassin's Creed. While those new IPs were thriving, Ubisoft could have used the main Assassin's Creed franchise to build on Origins. Imagine if Aya had a sequel where she fully becomes Amunet. At the end of Origins, that's what happens. She says Aya is dead and I am now Amunet. We follow her journey after Origins as she moves deeper into the Hidden Ones, goes to Rome, builds foundations of the Brotherhood, and becomes the legendary assassin we know she is supposed to be. There's a reason she's got a statue in Montrejoni in Assassin's Creed 2. There's a reason. Why hasn't she got her own game? Bayek's got his game. Why hasn't Aya got hers? It makes no sense. The game was right there, ready to be made, all the way back in 2009, Assassin's Creed 2. The idea was there, amongst many others that I will cover in other videos. However, getting back on track, after Origins and after Aya's game, they could have returned to one of the older protagonists. Maybe Arno gets a proper Unity sequel. Maybe they go into Thomas the Carnelian. Maybe Altaïr gets a full remake, which is rumoured to be happening very soon after the Black Flag remake's gonna go crazy. Maybe we see what happens after Connor kills Charles Lee. Does he rebuild the Brotherhood? Because we didn't really get a full-on fledged story with Connor. It was more of a vengeance story than anything. There was no real character development. Maybe we get a game focused on Shao Jun, Nikolai Orlov, or one of the other assassins who deserve more than just a 2.5D side story game. That would have kept the old school fans connected, while still allowing Ubisoft to experiment with bigger historical RPGs under new names. And that's the key point. I'm not saying the RPG games are bad games. I'm saying some of them might have been better games if they weren't forced to be Assassin's Creed games. Because Ubisoft clearly have the talent for world building, they clearly know how to make beautiful historical settings, they clearly know how to make huge open worlds that people want to spend hundreds of hours in. But not every historical open world needs to be Assassin's Creed. Sometimes the best thing Ubisoft could have done for the RPG games was give them their own identity. And the best thing for Assassin's Creed is for Ubisoft to protect the identity of Assassin's Creed. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment what you would like to see next time. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay in the shadows.